Hello, Prawn Da, good afternoon. I'm Ewan Williams, City Director with Bangor City Council. Here for another conversation, interview to note the Pier's special anniversary this year, 125 years. And I'm delighted to be joined today by a local resident, someone who knows the Pier very well, John Duggan. So I'll pass on now to John. John, afternoon.
Afternoon.
So you are very familiar with the Pier over quite some time.
Yes, I think it's a slight exaggeration to say I was more or less brought up on it. You know, my parents use it a lot, and of course the jetty for their work. They used to pick mussels over there and salmon, and lots of people from this side used to work for the people on the other side.
Yes.
So of course the pier was very handy for them to access their boats and things. So from a very early age, I was, as I say, brought up on the pier. When I was not quite sure what age, but when I was quite age, I used to work on the ferry, as used to call it, the bowman. And of course it was a wonderful experience because, as I say, I'm not quite sure how old I was, but I was very young. And there'd be people where we're sitting now, you'd always have people looking onto the jetty. And of course I'd be there as a hero, jumping off the boat with the rope, and you know, all these spectators, and you'd think I was a film star.
Oh, indeed,
So
absolutely.
it was great.
Yeah.
And of course, you were paid good money for it, because you'd start work. It wasn't work. But you were paid from, I don't know, about 7 o'clock in the morning till late in the evening. And of course when the ferry stopped, I forget what time the ferry actually stopped, about 7, 8 o'clock, whatever, you'd sometimes do trips round Puffin from, depending on the state of the tide, either the end of the pier or from down here.
I see, right.
So that was right. And then of course we used to use the pier because there were steps where you could moor small boats. And of course my family needed access to boats, and of course now when my family weren't using boats for work, we could use them. So we were on the water all the time. And one experience I had, which I thought was great, when I was on the ferry boat in Antlers, the Catalinas were moored there. What year that was, I forget. A long time ago. And we used to take skeleton crews out to them, ferry them there and back. And on one occasion, they asked me would I like to go aboard one of the Catalinas. So I did, and I had a ride in one.
Fantastic.
So that was fantastic.
Oh, superb. So very happy memories as a child, as a young man here. It must have changed quite a bit then over the years, till the difficult years of the 1970s and 80s.
Well, as I say, I used to spend nearly all my childhood either on the pier or using the pier for access to the sea or whatever. Yes, and well, my stepfather worked on it. But
it's always been a place that people come for relaxation, for enjoyment, some fresh air. And it seems, you know, from the stories, it's been like that since the beginning, since 1896.
Yes, in my day, there was the cafe at the end, Mrs. Bowler. And every local person knew, you know, Mrs. Bowler. But I can't remember really any other. All the other kiosks you could shelter in. And that's what I find now. I'm interfering how it's run, but I think there should be a kiosk about halfway down where people can just go in to shelter if it rains. I know you can at the end, or you could at the end. But no, there was nothing in my days as a youngster. There was only the cafe at the end. Of course there was a pontoon at the end,
Yeah.
which, as far as I can remember, you could use the pontoon, you could go alongside of it with a boat, but it wasn't actually in proper working order when I can remember. But of course, there was access. There were steps there, the first steps there. There was access to the pier for boats all the time, which did make an awful lot of difference.
And I understand there were Punch and Judy shows here, and bucket seats for people to sit in, that type of thing.
Yes, and of course the famous thing was the one-legged diver, wasn't it? Yeah, I do remember the one-legged diver.
Fantastic. So
but you've got to remember that yes, I've lived down here all my life, but I only used the pier almost daily until I went to sea.
Sure.
And of course, when I was away at sea, then I wasn't walking on the pier all the time. But I was never far away from it.
But you've always come back, have you?
I've always lived here.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always lived here. Well, my family used to work. They used to sail for the lady in Bryn Mawr there, Isla Johnson.
Right.
And one of my uncle used to sail for her, look after her sailing boat. And of course, you could access her boats from here. So it made no difference. The fact that she was in Anglesey and we were here made no difference. And of course, because of that, I was very fortunate. I used to sail in what in those days you'd have to be more or less a sort of millionaire bracket to have a boat like that. But we had access to them. They weren't ours, but
fantastic.
It was a different place.
Yeah, with plenty of people, vibrancy, local people, visitors, all coming here to the pier to enjoy themselves.
Well, yes. And of course the ferry boat attracted people because you know the Nantles used to go in my time used to go to Beaumaris. I think it must have been a 2-hourly trip. Thinking about it, it would go to Beaumaris, back to here, Garth, back to here, Manor Bridge, back to here. So I would imagine that would be a 2-hour, round trip. And I think, but remember, I'm going back to when I was very young. I seem to think that Saunders Row used to employ people, and I have an idea that the ferry was used by lots of people working in Saunders Row to get to work and back.
Right, okay. So that's how they would travel and commute. Well, it's
you know, that sort of thing
changed.
wouldn't happen now.
No, not. But at one point it was commonplace. Now,
if you had a boat, it would be for someone having a boat trip.
Yes.
You know, rather than to commute somewhere.
Absolutely. You've seen probably all types of weather here, John, over the years. Are there any particular moments, any storms or anything like that come to mind? Snow, perhaps, down here?
Well, I don't know if this is to do with the pier, but I do remember when what they used to do. They used to bring the mussels to the jetty there, and they'd wash them and then bring them up. They'd pick them at the mouth of the Ogwen there. But I do remember one day we were coming back, and we had what they used to have was really an old ship's lifeboat.
Right.
And they'd convert it to put a little bit of a protection cabin for it, and it was more substantial than the rowing boat. But the mussel would be in the rowing boat. And I can remember we were coming home, we must have been coming home because it was full, it was loaded. And I can remember my mother saying to my stepfather, be careful anyway. It was rough and it capsized. Lost all the mussels over the side. But dangerously bad weather. Well, you had enough common sense to keep clear of it, I suppose.
Yes, indeed. Keep away. Yes,
of course you had bad weather. And of course, in those days there were some rather expensive yachts here.
Yeah.
It was different then.
Yes.
Now, anyone with a half decent job can buy a boat.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
But in those days, it was only the
It was
wealthy.
Yeah.
You either had working boats or yachts.
Yeah.
And people with yachts had to be,
Indeed.
in a different league sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And of course there were some, Ferranti and Alex and it's not nasty to call him Popeye, that's what we used to call him. Avian Price, who was drowned, and the whole family with the Zephyrus there. But of course he wouldn't have been able to keep the boat there and look after the boat if it wasn't for the pier.
Yes.
Because he could access it.
Of course he could.
From the pier.
Yeah. And there are all sorts of stories, aren't there? Some good, some funny, and some tragic, like that one.
That was tragic. When was that? In the 60s.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then, difficult times at the pier in the 1970s. It was reopened, and I understand, in 1988. And that was a new start, I guess, a new chapter for the pier.
I can remember when. Your memory is funny. I think when I was first using the pier, the damage was still there from, was it the Christina?
Yeah, the Christina, 1914, that's it.
Well, I think and I may be wrong here, but what they did, there was just a walkway between the two pieces.
That's it, yeah. Built by the Royal Anglian Engineers, am I right?
Was it? Well, I'd say, I definitely remember that.
Right.
Whether it was because of the Christina, there's another story that says it was knocked down to stop invading.
Oh, I've heard. Yes, they raised the planks because they were concerned about the Nazis invading Bangor from the pier.
Well, but whatever the reason, I do remember there was just a narrowish walkway. Now, when that was repaired, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
But that was repaired, I think, before the major works in 35ish or so years ago.
No, it's a fascinating place, isn't it? And it means a lot to a great deal of people as well.
Well, as I say, I'm not really exaggerating. I was more or less brought up on the place. We lived it, and lots of your family worked here or worked from here or whatever. But then again, as I say, times have changed.
Times have changed.
An awful lot of people living here worked for those roads.
Yes, indeed.
And the pier sort of enabled them.
Yes,
really.
It bridged people together, more or less.
I don't remember when the big ferries used to come. The Liverpool ones. I don't remember that. They used to run to Menai Bridge.
That's it.
But the bigger ferries used to come to the to the pontoon at the end. But I'm not quite sure when that stopped.
Okay. No, it's and it's especially 125 years.
Yes.
Pier's still here.
Yep.
Still accepting people. Still a place that's a nice place to have some fresh air and a walk.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm amazed actually how many people now are on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In fact, I would say there are more people using it now. Yes, for different reasons. They're just having a walk up and down it. But I think there are more people using it now than when I'm talking about.
Fantastic. That's good. And may long continue.
Well, hopefully, yes.
Fantastic. There we are. Great. Lovely. Thank you very much, John.
Well, thank you. Sorry I couldn't have been more interesting.
No, not at all. That was fantastic. It was great to learn about your memories, your recollections of the pier, going back from childhood. So no, thank you very much.
Most of kids of my age would have been up the high street or somewhere doing whatever you did in a coffee shop or whatever. we were always
here. Always here. Absolutely. Oh, I can't blame you.
Of course, used to. I remember once we were accused by the pier master of running around naked at the end of the pier. But what we were actually doing, we had bathing costumes on. But when the tide went out, we'd go out and we'd jump in the mud and we'd slide in the mud. So of course we were covered in mud. So it looked as though we had no clothes on. And somebody complained.
Yeah.
And then another thing we used to do, there were pools. The whole nature of the place has changed, you know.
Yeah.
But on a big tide, there'd be some big pools at the end of the pier.
Yeah.
And place would be locked into them. And you'd go stabbing.
Right, okay. Fantastic. That's great. There we are, great. Well, thank you very much, John.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll be back with you again for more conversations and discussions with individuals to note the Pier's special anniversary this year. So thank you very much, diolch yn fawr, and see you soon.
Diolch yn fawr, thank you.